Good evening. A Royal Marine who stole firearms from his military base to sell has been jailed for 14.5 years. Martin Shannon from Hampshire stole guns, bullets and grenades over a 4-year period. Mary Stanley has the story.
Armed officers lie in wait for Martin Shannon, the Royal Marines reservist suspected of possessing a deadly arsenal of weapons. Their intelligence was confirmed after he sold grenades and 1,000 rounds of ammunition to an undercover officer for £10,000 in a pub car park near Newbury. Shannon was arrested at a supermarket here on the outskirts of Winchester. It followed a covert operation by the National Crime Agency and an investigation by the Ministry of Defence into missing weapons. At the time of his arrest, he was described as a significant risk to the public.
One detain.
We've put an awful lot of effort into this operation. We've used undercover officers, covert tactics, and it's a measure of the amount of effort we want to put in to protect the public, so it is a very pleasing result today.
And this is some of the haul uncovered by officers after his arrest. Assault rifles, sawn-off shotguns, grenades, explosives, detonators and ammunition. He'd taken the weapons from his Royal Marines base at Poole in Dorset over 4 years, burying some in the New Forest and hiding ammunition at the home he shared with his wife in Hythe. Some bullets were even found in a coffee jar.
Shannon, in this instance, had legitimate access to weapons, but then abused that position. It's very infrequent we see weapons such as this, assault rifles, on the streets of the UK. However, they do present a threat. We've seen the kind of damage that these weapons can do on the continent, so UK law enforcement, police forces, ourselves, are all bearing down on this to make sure that we restrict the availabilities of weapons in the UK.
43-year-old Martin Shannon admitted 15 firearms and explosives offences at the Old Bailey and was today sentenced to 14.5 years in jail. Police said he had no links to terrorism, his motives were purely financial. He told officers he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and thought the guns would be used by great train robber types who were after money and would not hurt people. But the judge told him whatever his motives were, once he'd handed over the guns, they were out of his control. Mary Stanley, ITV News.
In other news tonight, the parents of a baby from Brighton who became the UK's youngest recipient of a double lung transplant say there are no words to express how grateful they are. Imogen Bolton was given the lungs of Theo Omondi, who died of a sudden illness at just 41 days old. Now, the government is being urged to bring in the army to drive replacement buses during strike days on Southern Rail. The Sussex MP, Tim Lawton, says more must be done to help passengers who've endured months of delays. With the very latest, here's Malcolm Shaw.
It was during the firefighters' strike 14 years ago that the armed forces manned the so-called Green Goddesses to provide emergency cover. Now the government is being urged to use soldiers to drive buses when the rail unions on Southern take industrial action. The Shoreham MP, Tim Lawton, says it's an obvious thing to do. Others fear it would just fan the flames of an already bitter dispute. Tourist attractions like Lewis Castle have seen visitor numbers tumble on strike days, costing the heritage charity Sussex Past tens of thousands of pounds.
When you start to hear proposals like using buses, at the point when the roads are even busier because of the train strike, you recognise that solutions are not really being effectively thought of. So it really needs leadership down to address this.
The cost of the dispute on Southern is now running at an estimated £11 million per day. Assurity Consulting helps other businesses with their health and safety. The Horsham-based company sends staff across the country, often by train.
They're never quite sure if the trains are actually going to turn up on time. So when we prefer to travel from our local stations. And so when we get there, we're never sure, is there going to be a train, isn't there going to be a train? So it makes it very, very difficult to be able to plan your working day.
The stress on firms and their staff is reaching breaking point. Joey Chan commutes from London to Brighton to work for this web hosting firm. But today's his last day. He's quit.
It's been a constant nightmare. On a good day, it's meant to take just under a couple of hours, but 2.5, 3 hours has become more typical. And it doesn't seem like that's going to end anytime soon.
Many commuters say the problems on Southern started well before the current dispute. A resolution seems as far off as ever. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News.
More than 100 drivers have been arrested for drink and drug driving in Hampshire this month. Additional police patrols are in place and every driver involved in a collision is now being breathalyzed. Police are hunting for this woman after an 87-year-old man had thousands of pounds stolen from him outside a bank in Gosport. The woman and another man distracted the victim after he withdrew the money from Lloyds Bank on South Cross Street. More than 50 firefighters battled a blaze at a dry cleaners in Southsea this morning. The fire broke out at Impress Dry Cleaners on Albert Road shortly before 6 a.m. Witnesses reported loud bangs. Part of the road was closed for a time. The fire was under control by 9 a.m. and no one was injured. Now, an appeal is being launched against a father from the Isle of Wight who won his case after taking his daughter out of school during term time. Earlier this year, magistrates ruled that John Platt from Nettleston had no case to answer because his daughter attended school regularly during the rest of the year. But now an appeal will be heard at the Supreme Court next year. The moment a man stole a pensioner's car in Sussex has been captured on camera. The victim, a 72-year-old woman, had parked near Heathfield High Street when the man approached her and told her something was leaking from the bonnet. He then jumped in the driving seat and drove off. The government has today proposed new measures for drone users in the hope of stopping crashes with passenger jets. Ministers want anyone who flies in a no-fly zone to be held criminally liable.
Don't fly above 400 feet, we say. Don't fly near airports. Don't fly near aircraft. There's also rules as well about close to people and property to make sure you don't hurt people and don't damage people. So 50 metres from people and property and 150 metres from built-up areas and large amounts of people.
Thousands of people from right across the world have gathered at Stonehenge today to mark the winter solstice. Pagans and druids join revellers to watch the sunrise on the shortest day of the year, although cloud cover today did obscure most of the view. The ancient festival celebrates rebirth. It's one of just 4 days when the public can get close to the stones. One group cycled 60 miles from Portsmouth to witness the event.
It's just awesome. Just get out, do something different in winter, just celebrate the solstice, have a good time.
What better way to start the Christmas holidays?
Yes.
What could be better than this? Getting out cycling with friends and strangers and then coming to this glorious site here.
It's really a monument that was built a very long time ago, so it's quite special to be here.
This is Britain's temple. This is our most ancient site. This is where people have prayed and celebrated the turning times of the year for thousands and thousands of years.
This is my third solstice that I came to the stones, and it's just amazing to be here. It's just the energy, it's just lovely.
What can I say more than this? I feel positive and everyone is like lovely and it's nice. It's cool.
Meanwhile, over in Brighton, around 20,000 people have paraded through the city for the annual festival known as the Burning of the Clocks. A lantern parade lights up the city and celebrates the coming of the new year.
It's the community spirit, it's been going since '94. It's just great, it's great. It brings everyone together.
It's really exciting, seeing all these people enjoying themselves and all the effort that's gone into doing it.
I love how everyone gets together for it. It's very good.
Incredible pictures, aren't they? Now, what does the weather have in store over the next few days? With all the details tonight, here's Simon Parkin.
From sleet to the slopes, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening. Well, at last the shortest day is over and tomorrow we get a bit more daylight. A whole 3 seconds extra to look forward to, but not a bad day. There will be a chilly start, yes, but some fine sunshine on the go and the winds will stay light too. As for Friday, very different ball game. We've got another named storm, Storm Barbara, a deep area of low pressure coming in from the west. Now, for us, it will mean a windy day and we'll see some rain arriving later on. But if you're travelling north of the country up towards Scotland, then check the forecast before you travel because we could see winds gusting around 80, 90 miles an hour. So weather warnings already in place. As I say, if you are travelling up north, then do expect some disruption. For tonight, we've had some rain. That's clear cleared away eastwards, and for the rest of the night we're dry. Bit of mist and murk developing, also a bit of frost in places with temperatures down to around 2 or 3 degrees. So, as I say, a bit of a chilly start to look forward to tomorrow, but that mist will lift. Any cloud will break up quite nicely. Some decent sunshine on the cards. Winds staying relatively light, 15 miles an hour along the coast and around the Isle of Wight. Temperatures well up to around 8 or 9 degrees, so a decent day if you're off outside.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Where is the snow? That's what I want to know. But that is all from us for tonight. We are back in Good Morning Britain from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. But from me and from all of us here on the late team tonight, thanks for your company. Good night.